So I have a theory as Hamlet, arguably the greatest play ever written, is is sometimes hard to realize on stage because there's so much to it. Pericles, on the other hand, I've seen 3 or 4 times. I have never seen a bad production of Pericles, which
Oh,
I think that's a measure of Pericles' greatness. And so, what I want to ask you, Brian Isaac Phillips, is it fair to say that your new production of Pericles at Cincinnati Shakespeare Company is boldly going where no Pericles has gone before?
I don't think that there's anything new under the sun. Obviously, there can't be with Shakespeare, right? 400 years of producing his plays, 400 years plus. So I am sure somebody has been to space before with Pericles,
Mm.
but I am unaware of it. I have not seen it, and no, in yeah, no. No knowledge of that. So this felt like we were really kind of doing something brand new for us with this play.
Well, I remember too when I directed Twelfth Night for you back in whenever that was, 2017. I did the Google search as well, looking for, well, certainly somebody's done a Wild West Twelfth Night. And I could only find two instances of it, and they didn't sound like what I was going to do anyway. So it feels fine. I I've only seen the fantastic promo materials your team has put together for Pericles. So I mean, but it calls to mind for me Forbidden Planet, which is loosely based on the Tempest. But you're sticking to Shakespeare's script and his words, right?
Yeah, I think the only variations that we have in the text is some of the references to sea have become sky, just to kind of get our shipwrecks out of the water. But
Yeah.
other than that, it is Shakespeare's text. Or as much of it as people think Shakespeare's actually responsible for the text of Pericles because it is a corrupted text, if you will. But
As they say,
um,
yes.
yeah. Uh, I think the other thing, one of the things though that was really important to us was that this was not camp or a spoof or a comedy, right? There are comedic elements to it, just like if you have a great space adventure like a Star Wars or something like that. There are comedic elements and comedic characters that pop in that. Some more successful than others, obviously. Prequels versus original trilogy, but
That's an
for
entirely different
us,
podcast
that's a
conversation.
different podcast. That's right. But we wanted to treat it very seriously. And that meant the making sure that as we were doing this world building, that it was believable and authentic, and the stakes were high. So.
Well, and that's one of the other reasons I think all the Pericleses I've seen have been so successful is that you don't program or direct Pericles unless you really want to and have a great idea. Some companies put on Hamlet because, oh my God, it's time to put on Hamlet again. What are we going to do this time? Is this something you've longed to do for a long time, were you thinking more crassly, oh, this will sell some tickets?
I no, I don't think it's going to sell tickets, but as an organization, we are with Pericles kind of embarking on our second complete the canon journey. So this is our 40 by 40. So in our 20th anniversary, we completed the 38 play canon. So now we want to complete the 40 play canon by our 40th anniversary and add a couple of titles, the contested titles, into that mix. So it's been 23, 24 years since we've done Pericles. It was sort of the beginning of our last Complete the Canon journey in our 10th anniversary season. But ever since then, I sort of imagined that as we were working through that play, that there was a lot of opportunity here for science fiction and fantasy to be a real big part of that journey. So as it came time for us to sort of embark on this our own sort of epic journey through the canon again, I wanted to do Pericles, and I wanted to sort of attempt it with this very specific treatment to it. So it's not, it doesn't come from an idea that it's going to sell tickets, and it's obviously not from a, oh, well, we have to do Pericles again. It is very much like, no, this is, I think, a fantastic story to tell, and this is a fantastic way to tell it. So let's give it a try.
Well, and you've got such a great company of actors. The thing I was thinking about this morning is that your company, it feels like you guys don't even have time to sort of wallow and bask in the success and the worlds of your shows, because you do 27 shows a season. I'm exaggerating, but you do a lot of shows and they only run for 3 weeks. Is that hard, or is that just part of the run and gun? This is how we're doing Shakespeare down in Cincinnati.
It's how we've been doing it for a very long time. So there is a method to our madness with that. I am sure some people think that it's very hard. I think that there are some people who their muscles, their Shakespeare muscles, are very strong because
Yeah.
of that. But we're rehearsing each of the Shakespeare plays for 3.5 weeks, and then running for 3 or 4 weeks, depending on the title, depending on demand. Pericles obviously is a little bit of a shorter run because we imagine that it does not have the demand of a Hamlet or a Midsummer or something like that. But I do think what's fascinating is watching, specifically with Pericles, there are so many longtime company members in it that are trying to complete their personal canons, that you've got a shared vocabulary, a shared history, that people are able to get up and start running with the text on day one. And that's fantastic to watch. And it makes my job as a director that much more enjoyable, because we can really get to the meat of it really fast.
Yeah, and the world you've set Pericles. I mean, Pericles itself as a play is already a play that travels all over the place, and setting it in space. So I imagine now you have space pirates instead of
That's right.
seaborne pirates. I mean, and for my money, there's not enough genre. We don't put enough genre on stage, either sci-fi or fantasy or horror, as we've talked about off mic many times. Have you found the actors or you having insights into the text that you didn't think about until you said it in this world?
Um, I think that what's amazing to me is I think that some of the circumstances that are happening in Pericles, I've heard some actors talk about, it feels even more relatable through the genre of science fiction, just because of how steeped a lot of these company members happen to be in Star Wars, Star Trek, Alien. I mean, we are a society that loves our fantasy and our fiction and our TV and all of that. And our actors are consuming that on a regular basis, just like I am and our designers are. And I think that it felt like it was easier for them to bring this world to life and believe it
Yeah.
in the most unbelievable of circumstances, where if you put it on a boat in several centuries ago, somehow that feels like it's even further removed. But if you put it on a spaceship a few centuries from now, they were like, yeah, this makes sense. And the text does not feel in any way like it is, like we're trying to shoehorn it in. Somebody asked me at one point, did you start with the concept or did you start with Shakespeare? And I think that anytime you do a Shakespeare treatment like this, you still have to start with Shakespeare. Because if you're just trying to fit something to a design idea that you have, it will fall apart at some point. But if you start with Shakespeare and you know that your concept is just supporting the play, then
Hmm.
it will work. If you're trying to make Shakespeare support your concept, at some point it'll fall on its face 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, the nerd is strong with your company.
That's right. That's right.
Um, one of the greatest epiphanies I ever had in the theater was seeing Pericles at the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford upon Avon in the Swan space with Nigel Terry from the movies Excalibur and The Lion in Winter as Pericles himself. And there was
Oh,
this wonderful moment where he during a big soliloquy, and it was captivating what happened to him in that moment. And I quickly went back to the script to go, what is that line? What was that line that he said when that happened? And it wasn't there. The moment was his acting, was his discovery with between the lines of things. And I don't even know, I don't even have a question or even know why I'm sharing that story, except it's Pericles related. And I think it always tells me something about what actors bring to a text. It's not just a command of the text, it's understanding subtext, given circumstances, all the basic acting
yeah.
101. Are you discovering these kinds of things as well?
Yeah, I do. I think that, look, I love this play. And I think one of the reasons that I love it is that I saw an unforgettable production as well. I saw the Stratford Festival's 2003 production
Okay.
with Jonathan Goad playing
Uh-huh.
Pericles.
Mm,
And it was incredible, and his journey, and from young upstart prince to sad old king, was amazing, and very moving and unforgettable. And that was in their festival theater, and the way they brought that to life, I was like, oh, why doesn't this get produced more often? It's such a playground for directors and designers and actors. So I think anytime you see one of these plays and you see a creative team really make a meal out of it, then it's unforgettable, right? And I also think that your audience walks in with less baggage. So anytime somebody comes in for a Romeo and Juliet, they're not going to be happy because they love Zeffirelli, they love DiCaprio, they love the production that they just saw 6 months ago somewhere because somebody else was doing it, right?
right, right.
But we found that Pericles or Timon of Athens or Two Noble Kinsmen, like when we do these and there's not that same baggage, people can receive it as a new play. And they have a really great evening in the theater, and a really fantastic dialogue comes out of that.
And they probably come out of it the same way you and I came out of our productions that we love, which is like, why have we not been told that Pericles is Shakespeare's greatest play?
That's right.
Why are they keeping this from us? I would imagine even with your actors, as good as they are, and several, and Jeffrey Barnes, who is in your company, did comedy of Hamlet with us. I know how good they are. I imagine even with these guys, there was some fumbling and stumbling and unintentional laughs early in the rehearsal as you found the world. Was that hard playing this sci-fi thing so straight?
You know what? Surprisingly, it wasn't. I made a joke early on that we wanted to take it serious, we wanted to play it straight, and that if it turned out that it wasn't working, that it only took like 10 minutes for us to turn up the volume on the comedic dial, and we could turn it into something that was silly, and that would be its own production, right? But it is such a fine line when you try to do science fiction or horror or supernatural on stage that you can start to make fun of it very quickly. So that was always the escape pod for us, was we could start to make fun of it if it doesn't work. But it did, and I think that comes from the commitment of the actors. And yes, there is some challenging text in it, but it feels like it's just a mouthful to say from time to time. It doesn't feel like it's a younger Shakespeare, like some of the challenges that you find when you do some of his earlier plays. But I would say the thing that was extremely helpful was the world building that our design team did.
I bet.
So there was never a moment where the cast could sort of make fun of it because they saw that the costumes that Rainey Edwards had created were going to support them, that Andrew Hungerford, as a scenic designer, had put them in a spaceship, that they could believe, that it made it easier to kind of take that journey.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And was there a lot of this acting? A
There's a little bit of that. There's a little
little bit.
bit.
A little bit. And now for people just listening, I shifted to my right in the chair and shifted to the left of the chair
That's right.
as you're hit by photon torpedoes. As we record, you have just had your opening weekend. How has your audience taken it? Have they taken it the way you wanted them to take it?
Yeah, they had it. We had a really fantastic opening, and everybody felt really great about it. But I will say it was fascinating going. We had about three previews before we opened, and there was one preview, one of the early ones. Early, there were three. The first preview, basically, where I don't think the audience knew what to do with it. I think we had an interesting mix in that room, and we were putting it together for the first time, and it was silent.
Mm.
And well, I had a conversation with the cast and the design team saying, like, look, if this happens, if the audience comes out there and they're just not responding to this take on it, that is not a reflection on the work that you all have done. Right, because this cast and this crew and this design team is doing amazing work, and it's a big swing. And if the audience doesn't react to that, well, blame me. But you guys need to feel really confident about what you're doing out there. And I would say, with the exception of that first preview where they were sort of trying to figure out what to do with it, it's been very well received every performance since.
Well, that's great, and it's what we tell our actors or any company that does our scripts, which is, you know, pretend it's not a comedy. play it play it straight. And if the audience is laughing, take that as be surprised by that. In fact, because your task is serious. What the hell are they laughing about? You know? So walking that line is it's true when you're doing comedy, it's true when you're doing sci-fi Shakespeare too.
Yeah, and the with Pericles, you get some comedic relief in the second half of the play, but the trick is in that the beginning when you're setting up that journey, that the stakes are there and people understand why Pericles has to run. But it is an interesting first moment in the play that you have to meet Antiochus and his daughter.
Yeah.
Talk about their incestuous relationship, and like, by the way, kids, uh, incest. Here we go. Now go for it. So it's an interesting first moment in the play for the audience to get acclimated to, I think.
Yeah, well, and it's true. And that's true even when you're doing straight Shakespeare, is going slow at the beginning and letting audiences understand the world that they're in. Also, such a great moral in that play is that don't ask people a riddle, the answer to which reveals you're committing incest with your daughter.
That's right. That's a great moral. That's what Shakespeare was wanting to make sure he communicated.
I think that's our takeaway, Brian. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's great. Better riddles.
Better riddles.
This podcast is a production of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, reducing expectations since 1981. Go to reducedshakespeare.com for performance dates, actor bios, email newsletters, and so much less.